Top focus story here on Wake Up India. This hour, Parliament shall finally swing into action today after President Pranab Mukherjee addresses a joint session in the Central Hall any time now. Sources say he's likely to spell out the crucial 100 of the Modi Sarkar.
With the fate of 60 legislations hanging from a loose thread, it's a cruise for the government in the Lok Sabha, but an uphill task in the Rajya Sabha, where the NDA is scrounging for numbers. The big question, however, remains: who will seize the opposition space? Will there be an opposition at all?
The 15-day-old Narendra Modi government will officially announce its agenda today with the President Pranab Mukherjee's address to the joint session of Parliament. Sources say the government will spell out its 100-day agenda in the presidential address. Top priority areas include economic growth, efforts on tackling corruption and getting back black money. Price rise and building infrastructure will also find mention in the address. Apart from these, core focus areas of the Modi government on transparency, streamlining processes and speedy clearances of files and efforts in Ganga cleaning will also find mention. The fact is that despite a clear majority in the Lok Sabha, the Modi government has its task cut out in the Rajya Sabha, where the NDA is in a minority. As 60 crucial bills are pending in the House, Modi will need to use all his negotiation and persuasion skills to get them through. This Lok Sabha session will also see a fight for cornering the opposition space, and sources tell us that even amidst talk of the NDA AIADMK BJD floor coordination, Jaya's party will create ruckus in the House just after presidential address on the Tamil fishermen issue. The aim, obviously, is to seize opposition space from the Congress that is still struggling after a massive drubbing. Bureau Report, Headlines Today.
And joining us this morning on Wake Up India, T.R. Ramachandran, senior journalist, also our National Affairs editor, Javed Ansari. Mr. Ramachandran, if I could come to you first. The immediate focus right now is going to be on the President's speech, which is, likely to be the first comprehensive look at the agenda over the next 100 days for the Modi Sarkar.
Well, I think you're very right, Shiv. The fact remains that the President usually sets the agenda when the first sitting of any new Lok Sabha begins.
Yes.
The fact is that the previous government had gone through a very, very difficult period over the last 2 years. And there are a lot of problems which have to be corrected by the new government. The one great satisfaction that the President, Mr. Pranab Mukherjee, has is that, he was fearful when he addressed the nation on the eve of Republic Day in January, where he felt that if the voters did not give a stable government this time, the country could be faced with a very difficult situation. Fortunately, that is not the case.
Yes.
And the country has indeed got a stable and a government which has a majority on its own. At the end of the day, yes, the President will have to say what the agenda of the government is. And I think some of his main priorities are dealing with inflation, runaway inflation as it is. He also has to deal with the problem of corruption in a very big way. And the fact remains that many correctives and reforms have to be made in the administrative system as a whole so that things get moving. So in the overall analysis, the President is not only going to focus on these issues, but I think is also going to give an indication how the Modi government intends moving forward from here.
But talking about a stable government, Javed, if I could bring you in here, the Modi government definitely has the numbers in the Lok Sabha to push forth with those 60 impending legislations, but doesn't have the numbers in the Rajya Sabha. That's really going to be crucial.
Yes, Sital, and the Congress will have to resist the temptation of paying the BJP back in its own coin, because BJP made life extremely difficult for the UPA government. In fact, it's a matter of record that Prime Minister Manmohan Singh was not even allowed to introduce his Council of Ministers. And this is a courtesy which is extended to all Prime Ministers. But having said that, yes, they have the majority. The opposition is in majority in the Rajya Sabha, and much will depend on how BJP conducts its relations with the opposition. If you're going to rub their nose in the Lok Sabha, then please expect to be paid back in the same coin in the Rajya Sabha.
Javed, the president's address to the joint session is, it's a ceremonial event. There's a lot of ritual that surrounds it. But there have been occasions in the past where there have been slight controversies when Shankar Dayal Sharma was the president, etc. In this, I'm not asking if there's going to be a controversy this time, you know, considering who Pranab Mukherjee is, but how do you see this current speech? I mean, Pranab Mukherjee is a person who's never short on personality. He's has been one of India's most astute politicians. His views, you know, on Narendra Modi, the NDA, the BJP, in his earlier avatar as a politician are well known. But it's not likely that any of that will even obliquely be part of what he says today.
Not at all, because this is a speech prepared, written,
yes,
prepared and sent to the President of India by the
government itself.
These are the government of India's words which Mr. Pranab Mukherjee will be mouthing. You know, if you want to just simplify things. So the President does not have it in him to deviate from the text. Usually, you know, if suppose, purely for argument's sake, he talks of 370. If the government wants him to talk of 370, maybe there might be an odd MP who might stand up and protest. But usually that protest is just more symbolic than anything else. This is the first session of the 16th Lok Sabha. I don't expect any such thing to happen. It would be against the trend of things, actually, against the mood to have any kind of disturbance. I'd be very, very surprised if there is.
Okay, so the ruckus might actually happen after the President's speech. We've been getting you information about how the AIA-DMK is preparing, you know, to create a bit of a ruckus in the House. I want to go straight across to headlines today. Kamaljeet Sandhu is right outside Parliament. Just a few minutes to go, Kamal, before the joint session is addressed by the President. You've been speaking to your sources in government as well as in the opposition, so to speak. We'll have to put opposition in quotes at the moment because there's still a sense of ambiguity on what the composition of the opposition will be, Kamal. That's going to be a big question going forward.
Well, definitely so. Congress left red-faced because of that, and obviously they don't have the numbers. They're obviously the single largest party as far as the opposition is concerned, but they're still left to the discretion of the Speaker to really decide whether they make the cut for the opposition leader or not. But right now we are at the Parliament, and the Prime Minister Narendra Modi has just gone inside the Parliament, and obviously we can try and show you the scene here at Vijay Chowk, and remember that presidential address is to be happening just in a few moments from now at around 11 o'clock. You can see all the VVIP cars, the movement happening, the barricades have been put in place, and after some time it's only the VVIP, the President of India, who will come in that particular convoy. A beautiful buggy will come on its way. We will be able to see a beautiful, spectacular moment right here on this particular road itself, but it's the speech of the President which will make the most news, whether it's going to be the price rise or setting the agenda for the 100 days that he's talking about inflation. Remember, Narendra Modi himself has this ambitious plan of 100 days. That's the agenda he's kept for all the ministries. But yes, it's the President who's going to really set the mood for this particular government itself.
Right. Mr. Ramachandran, if I could bring you in at this point in time, the crucial question really is who is going to lead the opposition in the Lok Sabha. The Congress clearly falling short of the numbers. What are you making, of this entire deal of there being a lack of a coherent composite opposition to the Modi Sarkar?
Well, I think that is a very important point that you have raised. The fact is the main opposition party, even though it has the largest number, is a mere 44.
Yeah.
So I don't think they really have the ground or the strength to really go hammer and tongs at the new government. That is not possible. At the same time, some of the other regional parties are trying to come together, have a number which, you know, can
like
really
the Trinamool,
pose a
the
threat.
AIA-DMK and the others.
Yes, Trinamool Congress, for example, AIA-DMK, even Biju Patnaik's BJD. But the three of them put together make it 91 on their own. It's a singular bloc which is big, which is a singular bloc which can put pressure on the government. But let's not forget the government has huge problems in the Rajya Sabha.
Yes.
So what they're trying to do is trying to appease some of these regional parties.
Yes.
On the particular plea that we would like to have everybody be part of this government, assist us in this entire developmental endeavor. I don't know how many are going to take the bait, but the fact is that Jayalalitha is favorably displaced towards the Modi government.
Correct, yes.
They have been, I'm told, offered the Deputy Speaker's post.
Yes.
Similarly, BJP and others are also being offered something. So let's wait and see how this really pans out.
Yes.
Because all the other states also require huge financial assistance from the center. So I think there will be some quid pro quo in this entire arrangement. But we will have
All right,
to
well,
wait
as
for
things stand, it's easy street as far as the Lok Sabha is concerned, but it's going to be pretty rough as things stand. Things could change dramatically, but as things stand, they're very, very rough in the Rajya Sabha. These are live pictures coming to you from the President's house. The President will be arriving at Parliament House shortly from now. His official cavalcade will leave from Rashtrapati Bhavan and reach Parliament House. The entire stretch is less than a kilometre long. It will be down Raisina Hill and to Parliament House, where he will then be received by the Prime Minister, the Parliament Affairs Minister and other senior dignitaries. He will be escorted into Central Hall, where he will then make the Prime Minister's speech. Javed, this is a ceremonial event, as you pointed out, and you, as a senior political journalist, have witnessed many of these speeches. Are there any specific expectations from this particular speech that we're expecting to hear in just moments from now today?
No, the President of India will not make any policy announcement, but
Yes.
he'll give you a broad outline on the direction in which his government will be moving. What are the focus areas, the thrust, priority areas for the new Modi government? Those are things that he will broadly outline. He
Yes.
cannot, the President, by the very nature of his job, cannot outline policy or cannot pronounce policy judgments from the woolly pulpit that he will occupy today. So he'll address, this is like I said, prepared by the union government. He will address and give
Yes.
us a sneak preview into what is likely to come in the budget and in the days ahead. This will not be a 100-day agenda, let me tell you. This is supposed to be the new government's policy thrust in the year ahead.
Yes.
And next year, when the first budget session happens, then again the President. This is an annual ritual which the President goes through.
Right. So in just 20 minutes from now is when the speech by President Pranab Mukherjee will happen in Parliament. Mr. Ramachandran, Javed Ansari, continue to stay with us. We're staying live with this story. Those are live pictures coming to you of the ceremonial guard outside Rashtrapati Bhavan as the President departs in just moments from now in his official cavalcade towards Parliament House for his address to the joint session of Parliament in the 16th Lok Sabha, and that speech will be listened to very carefully. It will lay out the agenda for the government going forward, but no specific policy announcements in this particular speech. As Javed just mentioned to us, this is a speech that is composed and put down completely by the government itself. In just a few minutes from now, President Pranab Mukherjee will be addressing a joint session of Parliament, laying out the agenda for the Modi government, the new government. Well, these are pictures from right now at Rashtrapati Bhavan as President Pranab Mukherjee steps out of the presidential palace. He will then be escorted to his cavalcade for the short drive to Parliament. He will make a speech in the convened joint session, where he is expected to lay out the agenda broadly for the government over the next 100 days or so. This is the President's address to the joint session. He has just departed for Parliament House. These are live images as the ceremonials begin for President Pranab Mukherjee to arrive in Parliament. 11 a.m. is when it will take place.